Hey everybody, welcome back, you bloody legends. We're here for our third and final match of the day. I'm here joined by Susano, which has been a long time since we've last casted together. I believe the last time I even maybe was at Vanguard Champs in 2022. So it's been a long time, but I'm excited to get into it. We've got a banger matchup here. Two undefeated teams going head-to-head, 6-0 each. We saw that in the first match of the day. That was a crazy series. We're probably gonna see it here for a third.
Yeah, and let's talk about this head-to-head because it's quite literally the immovable object versus the unstoppable force here. You've got the season record of both being 6-0. Now, the only differential here is that the UCF Knights are better by just one match, Narski, in the hard point, 5-1 versus 4-2. Could that be a differential? We'll see, but 6-0, 5-0 S&D, 5-0 control. I mean, goodness gracious, this is the most matched up that you could probably have within the collegiate system at this point.
Yeah, this is incredible. And to be honest, like, the hard point is important, but we could be seeing a Neslo here out of, like, Keiser White, depending on how good their search and control is. I mean, they're both 5-0. The difference is, and I guess the difficulty is when you're looking at it on paper, is are those 6-0 against, 6 optics, and is, UCF against 5 burgers. I don't know how to explain it, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like, you don't know what teams are going to be insane that they played against. You don't know what teams are going to be bad that they played against or weaker. And it's head to head. We're about to see both undefeated teams go and see who comes out on top. Someone has to get the L. Someone has to get that 1 next to that 0, and it's going to be very, very difficult for someone to come out on top. And as you said, as we talked about in the pregame, got a little Big Mac series. Shout out to Sport. Apparently, he's trademarked this for a while. He's calling it the Big Mac, so that's what we're going to call it too.
Yeah, the good old Hacienda Big Mac. Can't go wrong with it. I mean, you look at it right now. Hacienda for the hard point. Vaults for search and destroy. Then we get over to our third map of another Hacienda. Should we get to map 4 and 5, that's where it'll get a little bit interesting as we go to that red card hard point and end it off at Hacienda. Talking about Hacienda, these players are ready to go. We're ready to go. Let's get this one rolling. Hacienda hard point. Narski, I know it's been a while since me and you've been able to cast, but this is a relic of an old time here. BO4 being able to bring itself back into the narrative of where we're at currently within this Call of Duty ecosystem. How do you feel about this map?
I think it's a good map. I think that it translates pretty well to a 4v4, maybe a little bit big and slower paced at times, but I think that that's a good thing to have in a game that's super fast paced with crazy omni movement and super speed. So let's see how we're going to kick things off. Hard point, map number 1, Hacienda. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. We're going to see a lot of this map coming forward if it goes the distance, so get prepared. But already, Susano, the feed turning yellow and a big break off for UCF Knights.
And that's a great break off. That really sets everybody apart, pushes people out towards the edges. But with that spruceness in our sparseness, it is going to be a bit of a problem as you do see Keiser White are able to really clean up that outer defense. Now they got to work towards that middle here. And it looks as though we're all just trying to suss each other out, trying to find those openings, those opportunities to really get those opening kills, as you do see Keiser White do. That's a 2 down. That can set them up for this next hill.
Yeah, big money hill here if you're able to lock in the time. Fortunately, it's still back and forth action here, but they do get the spawns to the side of Keiser White. Great start from UCF off the break. Now coming into the P2 rotation, not quite there. One play here that might be able to catch a timing. He's on in. Still, you got a lot of plays to deal with in the back line. 2 kills go the way of Keiser White. That's a 3rd as well. Last player, late 4. Now be able to get in and lock in some of this time. You got Connor coming around the back. Could spell disaster here for Keiser.
Yeah, this is good, definitely spell a disaster. You see how well they were able to put themselves into the narrative here. If I'm on the side of Keiser White, I gotta get some help. And you do see Adnan do that. Nicely done. We'll be able to get some shots, but with this pinstriped guild cord, I mean, we're gonna see a big switch up right here for the side of UCF.
Yeah, Con still locking in some time here for UCF. That's actually a pretty good recovery from them, all things considered. They lost spawns. They didn't have the break. They got a 4 down. And Con's able to get back on in and at least stop them from grabbing this time. The rotation actually isn't there for Knights. I'm not sure if they're aware. Yeah, they did spawn pretty deep, so they are going to try and go for Lux in the back. Maybe make a bit of damage, but I mean, all things considered, you've got the spawns. You're looking good. You've locked in the break. You've got about 1 play to deal with in the back still, and I think they're aware.
They definitely are aware. If not, that kill's going to definitely be the guaranteer right there. Nice little back and forth, a 1-for-1. We go about 40 seconds left on this hill, and it's just a back and forth of these kills. 2 for one, 2 for the other. I mean, goodness gracious. We'll be able to see, though, Keiser White, nicely done. They keep themselves here, keep that pressure going. Just enough fire to singe the eyebrows here, Narski.
Yeah, they're still trying to make this contest. They're still trying to break on in. It is a pretty even hard point, all things considered, sorry, but a 4 down ensues, and a UCF able to lock in some time. What are they shooting now? I don't even know, but they're already on the rotation. They've got 1 play to deal with. Chris on yard. Will he be able to pull this off? He's got 4 plays to deal with in his sights. He gets taken out, and it will be a clean rotation for Keiser White.
Nicely done. These players are able to keep themselves right now within this driver's seat, but the problem is, you look at it right now, number 8, that's going to be Khan moving in from the back lane here. Chris on God making some good movements. They will be able to, slow things down for the side of Keiser White, but you really need to be a little bit more forward active here, Narski, because a big setup like that on Rock Hill is not going to be good if you break down that easily.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get a little dangerous, right? UCF with Keiser White have been pretty back and forth on these hills, making it a contention, being a bit difficult to deal with. But now UCF are able to lock in all of this time, and you can see the lead, the deficit starting to develop very rapidly, and it's going to be difficult for Keiser White to really recover once you start getting behind that margin, because UCF have done such a great job of contesting the hills, even the strong hills that Keiser White have had like P2, and now we're seeing that trend develop where if there's a lead, it's probably going to last.
That's a good lead, though, for the side of UCF. They get themselves past that 100-point threshold. We go back, second set of rotations now, and once again, Keiser White, they get themselves into this driver's seat right away. But the problem is always their setups. And talking about setups, we're setting up for a big explosive play with this cruise coming in.
Maybe does some damage, maybe clears out some of the point. Not quite. UCF able to get themselves back in. No kills found with Hellstorm. And you can see now Con in this top position could do a bit of damage. Not sure if he spotted the player going around. He did. That's going to waste a little bit of time and allow Keiser to get in the time and grab some of that hill. But you've got to worry about P2. We saw it last time. UCF was great at holding or breaking on in and holding. Keiser White seems like they're going to repeat history. They've got the rotation. They're locked in. They've got a player in the back. Now it's up to UCF to try and break, and they've at least done a good job. Oh my God, that was almost disgusting. It was almost dangerous, but they're in. They've rotated.
And right there, you immediately see this pickup from the side of Keiser White. They lose a lot of value in their lives, but they're immediately able to get themselves back into the site. A nice little change in the equation, just a new variable. Let's see how it plays out, though, as players are starting to make their move towards the back lane. They clean up the work. Chris, nicely done. Oh, unfortunately, he takes the teammate's head with that one.
Yeah, this needs to be a crucial break here for the side of UCF. You can see Chris getting pinched there. Split spawns. Not going to happen. This is some big time that guys can get themselves back in the game. We saw UCF make a nice break last time. History not repeating itself just yet. Still 27 seconds left on this hill. It is still live. A big kill comes on through, but I don't think they have the resources to break on into this. Value, wow, he gets jumped on. They're able to grab some scrap time, which is at least a saving grace, but P3 still a long while away where they've got new spawns. Keiser White so ahead of these rotations time and time again. UCF just able to break every time.
And this is the problem when running a situation like that where you're focusing on the scrap. You're not exactly able to get prime real estate, and that's a clear example. All 3 go down for the side of UCF. They sparse their efforts. They're not exactly within proper form here, but shots will go through. Players are currently smelling the blood in the water, and I mean, Chris is just playing peekaboo Scooby-Doo style here. He needs to get himself into some better opportunities.
Yeah, trying to get on in now. Chris, front of the hill. Tip of the spear, trying to get on in. Maybe the break. Big kill. Now they can rack up some of this time. Still got to deal with Adnan. Tag as well in the back. So a lot of kills coming the way of UCF. Still hanging on, still soaking up this time. 25 seconds, a nice nade over the top from Chris. And you can see how much value they're getting just from one hold. That deficit that was slowly decreasing now is so far away from Keiser White as they try and set up towards new.
This is a good potential for them to really get themselves back into this one. We saw how well they set up last rock. Now, on this second set, they do get the opening kills. They do have this real estate. But the problem is always their setup, always their maintenance. They don't do the quality work when it comes to it. And so that's what Value's going to do. Quite literally, word to the letter, going to add value to that. Go for the flank around. Go for the stopping. And that's what they do. They get some more shots, but it's Monty here. Clearly angry with this squad. He's getting forward aggressive. Just going to try and wait it back.
Tag sliding on in. Nice engagement. Able to find Con. The second one helps as well. Maybe even a third here. Getting a little over aggressive, but it pays off. A nice 4 down for Keiser. They break on in. That's 30 seconds they can soak up and maybe set themselves up nicely, but that lead will still be UCF's. Another Hellstorm being invested here from Physics. Now coming down. Dropping the hammer. Can he get much value? Now going for the back spawn. Did his controller disconnect? Hello? Didn't even... Okay. Maybe he has disconnect. What is happening? I mean, an unfortunate series of events. If he lags out, that could be a very dangerous kind of rule set, I guess. But we'll see. I think everyone's stopping. Everyone's lagging out. What's happening? What's happening in the game?
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a bit of some interference here as number 6. Physics. Oh, and he does go out. So we're going to keep playing this as per usual. The rules always state to just keep it running until a moderator or an admin does dictate a stop in the game. But with it being 170 to, I believe, 130 there, there could be a little bit of a differential given. We might just go from the edge there, but it's always up to our admins.
I mean, they're still holding on. They're still grabbing 2 pieces there. And a third. That could almost be a 4 down. You wouldn't even expect that they're losing a player here, and a large piece of that puzzle at that with Physics. Value going to get dropped. Still 2 more players to deal with outside of this time. And they are still going strong. I mean, it's not even that bad. They don't even need him, apparently. Still locking in this P1 time as a 3-man, which is incredible, mind you. Most neutrally contested kill in this game. And they're doing such a great job of holding on. You've got a player in the back as well, still causing destruction for Keiser White.
And you're going to see Physics actually come back. So that's going to be interesting to see. But, I mean, yeah, big ups to the squad at UCF. They did not let it feel like there was a 4th man missing. They kept themselves engaged. They kept themselves active with their teamwork. And it's showing and it's paying dividends right now.
Wow, and he's back on in with a bang. Now trying to jump into this time. Doesn't spot any players. A nice jump check. They know where it's getting contested from. Does slam that play to the left. Chris comes in. A nice team kill, unfortunately. But that's a 4 down. And UCF are back in on the break. And they're able to get in and lock in this time. It is just dominance right now from UCF in this 3rd set of rotations. It's unbelievable what I'm seeing.
Unbelievable indeed, and you do see these players from the side of Keiser White. They spawn up towards that middle. They're starting to play a little bit and spread it out. They want to stop these funnels into the next site. They have to get a full 60 here, Narski. It is quite literally do or die time, as now UCF have broken that 220-point threshold. They can win it off of any hill now.
Yeah, the mental's got to be a bit chalked there. I'm not going to lie from Keiser. You've got three players to deal with, and you're not getting any of that P1 time. He comes back in. It's just disrespectful, to be honest with you. But Kaiser's now in. They do have the rotation. It's being contested. There's only 1 player to deal with on the point. He does survive, and then finally drops. This could be the final embers of this hard point that are going to be snuffed out here as Keiser go for 1 more break.
If there's only 1 chance, do or die time. They will be working that front angle, but just as you stack them up, you dice them down, and that's going to be a big one for UCF.
Yeah, Physics coming back on in. Just goes 8-3. No worries. 5 seconds left. Map's coming to a close. No one near for Keiser White. The contest is in. Some good kills come their way. Maybe Monty survives. He's got some cavalry coming in here shortly. 4th Street to end things off for Monty. Going for the Dolphin Dive. Not quite. They do fall, but the rotation's already in for UCF. No one's close. You got 4 seconds to get there, plus an extra 3 if you add it on top. But no one from Keiser is going to be able to get on in, and that will be the map. So a great performance out of UCF with even a bit of hardship in there and adversity. But they take the map 1. They look confident, and consistent. And, we talked about the hard point maybe being a weak point of Keiser White. Now we're going to have to see the surge.
Yeah, this was definitely a great litmus test to the level of professionalism, severity, and tenacity that we expect out of these teams. I mean, goodness gracious. You have both teams coming in at a 6-0 record. And we did see, like you mentioned, that there was just a little differential when it came to the hard point. But we got to give some big daps up here for the side of UCF, because not only did they lose Physics, but they kept themselves competitive. They did not give up.
Yeah, and also 2 minutes of hill time for Monty and Con is incredible, all things considered. But look at the lead. It didn't differ at all. I mean, they stayed consistent. They had the lead from the start, kept it nowhere near Keiser White, with a consistent parallel line here, essentially, on this graph. So Keiser White unable to really close the distance there. They lost the lead, and they kept it. Exactly what we saw at the start. As soon as that lead was developed, 108 to 33 on P4. It just stayed consistent, and it's unfortunate, but we're going to a search and destroy. Maybe we see Keiser White being a little bit better. Maybe we see them, pulling something a little bit more out of the bag. But UCF have got to be feeling good about that. The mental may be playing a bit of a factor here for Keiser White. Who knows? Maybe they reset. We've got a Vault Search and Destroy up next, and we already talked about the Hassie, Big Mac, and Red Card as well in there for a hard point if it goes to map 4. I don't know, man. We looked at the stats. Both of these teams really consistent on search, destroy, and control. Undefeated so far. We'll see if it comes into factor here.
We could definitely see if it does, but something to kind of note here as we look at these squads is the level of sub talent. I mean, the sub talent on the side of UCF was in and out, hitting routes, making good plays, making good impact on the map. That's what you want out of your subs. You want them to be able to run routes, be able to hold it down, and really just let the slaying go. Let that chopper fly, as they say. And I mean, goodness gracious, we saw that immediately when we got into that P1. Players were just flying and frying, just absolutely letting the slays speak for themselves. So when we go to a map like Vault, where it's going to be a lot of close corners, you do have that classic 3 lanes where you're going to be able to work the ARs into this instance. The subs really shine inside of the bank, quite literally in that Vault bomb site. They're running through, they're sliding in that water. I mean, it's a splash pad in there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about Keiser White being, I talked about this in the first series when I was discussing with Zep, that Vault, it has a lot of playability, but it is sort of one-dimensional in the sense that you usually see the same set strategies going towards that A site, playing the post plan and going in. When it comes to this matchup, from what we saw in the first match, it's not a crazy differential, but UCF are better slayers. They're just better on the guns. They're better at the gunfights and the movement. If that's how the trend starts to develop and they force these gunfights time and time again, I don't think that Keiser White's going to come out on top. You look at that scenario, you go 2-0 up. If you take this map, then you're looking pretty good for a control on the 3-0. And Keiser White, by that point, you got to assume are going to be pretty down in their luck, pretty defeated. The mental might play a factor even more in that sense, but I don't want to tell the story too quickly because we can see it here. Keiser White down 0-1 on the first map. Vault Search and Destroy coming up here for the map number 2. And, I would like to see some signs of life here from Keiser. It wasn't a stomping on the hard point, but it was enough where you're a little bit concerned with how this series might go.
It really is a bit of a worrisome moment when you see Keiser White have such great rotations on that map 1, where they're able to get themselves in instances where they're able to, get themselves into the driver's seat, really hold the narrative, but just as fast as they were able to grab it, it goes away. And in this instance, with Vault being on the search and destroy, we're going to need to see some good setups out of them to really show off them, and what a better way to start them at defense.
Chris, already on the plan. UCF starting off with a bang, looking to go for that safety play. No one from Keiser close. They're trying to close the distance. Maybe they can stir up some trouble, but Chris already with the first blood. That's the first victim of the round. It's traded immediately as well. Back and forth, pinstripe kill feed, 2 apiece. Going to be Vizix and Monty looking to try and defend this for another 25 seconds. Vizix patiently watching that vault door. Monty should have an angle here on this player. Nice trigger discipline. Make sure he guarantees the kill. That'll be that. But now 1 versus 1. Tag is weak, but 15 seconds on the clock. All Monty has to do is check it at 7.5. And Tag knows this. He's going to go up for the kill, and Monty swiftly takes care of him for a round 1 win.
There you go. That's the first one on the board. That's going to be able to give UCF some good instances right here as we start them off. But, I mean, we got to talk about how fast they got into that bomb site. I mean, you saw it. They went up the stairs, slid down, G slid off that step. And my goodness, they were in that bomb instantaneously. Keiser White, of course, nice response. They were able to bring it down to a 1v1. But ultimately, that speed and ferocity, I'm expecting that a little bit more here.
Yeah, and that's what we come to expect from UCF. They have the aggression, they have the speed, they have the pace. It's whether or not Keiser can match it. Let's see how they go on the offense now. Keiser They're trying to go for this A hit as well. 3 players sent towards B, maybe trying to go down the vault and contest it, which they are. And this could be very, very dangerous here for the side of Keiser White. I don't think trophy systems are up, so nades could play a big factor, but it's going to be Chris taking out 3 of his players and himself. 2 of his players and himself, almost wipes the entire team. It's on Monty now in a 1 versus 4, and what a blunder that is from the side of Chris. Wow, it's rare you see that. I remember last week or the week before there was a series where there was someone constantly teammating, and you know, it's rough. It's tough scenes. Monty gets taken out, and Keiser White with a blessed round there for the round 2.
Goodness gracious. I mean, Monty is the #1 player on Keiser White right there. Just absolutely insane. Just a nade to just really cripple the efforts of your squad, but you just got to take that one on the chin. Just go, reset, get yourself back into the narrative here. Don't want to let the, you know, shock your mentality, but I mean, goodness gracious, that's a dagger if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, it's not great. It's one of those things, maybe you laugh it off, right? You've had a good hard point. You know that you have the capabilities. You're the favorites right now in the series. UCF, I'm sure they'll be able to shrug that off. Immediately going for the A hit again. We're going to try and make this quite difficult. I like that they have a player setting up towards mid-map, so they can't get any quick pushes. But I think it's quite difficult if you're Keiser White to try and deal with all these players that are trying to rat. I was about to say Con in a very good position, but he gets taken out pretty early. And you've got Monty covering the flank. This is very dangerous now with some nice movement. Gets across and is trying to make this very difficult for Tag. He's weak. He's on the heady, trying to snake it off. Not quite. And now at 2 versus 3.
2 versus 3 here. Lux is currently caught out of dodge. Adam's going to be the last one. Nicely done. Cleans out 1, but with 18 seconds left here. Remember, you got to count for the time of the defusal. It is quite literally sweat on brow. He's making some moves. Shots will go through. Gets 1. Not going to be enough time to get on this bomb, so Chris on God will be able to just slow it down, just keep himself alive. Don't want to give up too much here, especially with Adnan having a 3 streak here. Got to keep those streaks alive.
Yeah, unfortunate timing there. Just not quick enough. Too late to the party, and Keiser White will drop. So, I mean, there is a reality where UCF are up 3-0 right now. You know, if they didn't have that team nade. So, Keiser White probably feeling the pressure a little bit, right? UCF not letting go of the gas, being very, very difficult to deal with. We'll see if they can test this A site again. Whether or not it'll come through. Keiser have really allowed UCF to get this bomb plan for free every round on the A side. They haven't tried to contest it yet. I think that's going to cost them on the offenses. We see now UCF trying to cover off these escapes, get this timing in on pull. I believe he spots that player on top of the truck, so Lux could be falling here in a minute. And he just drops the angle, COD timing. Shots go out, not quite the kill.
And that's some good teamwork right there from the side of Vizix. Nicely done. They clean out 2. And I mean, the ARs are working in tandem right now. Great coverage. The defusal goes through here. We're going to wait it out just a little bit. But Keiser White, quite the breakdown.
Someone's playing a bit of music for us. Thank you very much. It's a much needed atmosphere there, some ambiance. But yeah, I mean, I got to say, UCF, pretty cheerful, pretty happy, pretty giddy. They've been playing super well in the hard point, and the search and destroy is looking pretty easy for them, all things considered. And I mean, I talked about this. You go up 2-0 in the search and destroy. Keiser not looking good for the control. We do go back to a Hassie at least. It's not done quite yet, but what I'm seeing from UCF, they're looking very comfortable. There hasn't really been any signs of struggle. They haven't had any problems. Keiser White playing very passive on these A hits and trying to go for the retakes. Con unfortunately getting timing, but does spot 1 and a 2nd and even a 3rd. So he knows exactly where this play's going, gets behind them, is able to maybe clean up here, get some trades, but unfortunately there's 1 player behind him that takes care of him. A nice nade. It's the trade, and Vizix in with the 2.
Very nice out of Vizix. Lags out the first map and really gets himself into this one. They work in tandem, and UCF turning the water red here as they get themselves their 4th round now. And goodness gracious, this is that ferocity that I told you I was going to look out for within that first round. And my goodness, you see how well they work here.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing so much damage here. It's just comfortable for them. It's easy. They're not getting any sort of contention. I mean, even with that play, they're getting caught out, and they're just not covering the right angles. You're allowing a player to go to cat for free, get down into the middle of the map. No one's contesting it realistically. No one's even watching it. It's just all the right reads, all the right plays from UCF. Now they're going on the defense again, which I guess has been their only sign of struggle, if you even call it that, with the team nade. But now they're contesting it. They're going up Cat. Lux with a nice first pick. It's away with 5 HP, so at least they blood first round. And now the bomb goes down on B, so they switch it up. No one's close from UCF, and they've got to go for a very long and lengthy retake.
Pretty lengthy indeed, with 37 seconds now. 3-4 in terms of the lives. We do see UCF are very spread it out, but their ability to trust in each other is clearly playing dividends as each one gets behind the other.
I mean, that is... Oh, my God! And Vizix just absolutely pisses on him. Wow. What is that, man? What? UCF. My goodness. Playing out of their minds right now. Each one calculated, just precision, flawless gameplay. Each one getting assassinated, it looked like, from UCF. Just taking out each one of these players. Now going on to match point, 5-1. Disgusting scenes from UCF.
Yeah, no, that is definitely a big dagger right there. I mean, you saw it. It was a 3v4. Everybody on the side of Keiser White were feeling pretty confident. But in masterful planning, UCF just get behind each and every player, get their 3, and just collapse on the 4th.
Vizix now in on the middle of the map. And this is what we like to see. The aggressive angles and positioning from UCF is making Keiser so uncomfortable and so awkward on these engagements. They take a strat out of their page, or their book, sorry, and Keiser White now have to defend a B retake down to players, a 2v4. This might as well be map number 3 in the Hassie. Lux gets drilled from Con. Now you've got a 1 versus 4 for Adnan. The bomb's down, 30 seconds left. Might as well just give it up because it is all over, essentially. I mean, he's able to get 1, but too many players to deal with. And UCF Knights looking very strong on the search and destroy. Wow, 2-0 up.
Yep, there you go. That's a nice one right there. A nice little filler to the cake that we're currently building on the side of UCF. But, I mean, goodness gracious. The aggression, ferocity, tenacity, all of it just going hand in hand with this UCF squad. You look at the kill board right now, Vizix and Monty, 8-2. I mean, this is some good duo work right there, really putting down the pressure onto Keiser White.
Yeah, I mean, when you have these squads going head-to-head and they're both 6-0, this is what I was talking about. You don't actually know what teams they've played, what level they're at, if they've had an easier run, a harder run, if the teams are evenly matched or not. In the first series of the day, we had a reverse sweep. It was looking like Panthers were up, and they go down. We're seeing here 2-0 up to UCF Knights. It's a similar kind of story, so I don't want to ride out Keiser White completely, but coming into a control, I can see how UCF are playing. I can see that they have a very good handle on things, and I don't think this is going to be the same story, right? Panthers were getting outslayed by the team that, by KSU, that ended up reverse sweeping. UCF are not getting outslayed. They're not getting outplayed. They're not behind the 8 ball. They're not getting out-strategized or anything like that in any of these moments. They just look like a slightly more consistent and a slightly better team overall, in my opinion, from watching these 2 matches. And I think they're going into control. We're going to see a swift 3-0. I don't think that Keiser White are going to be in give them too much trouble here. But that being said, I do think there's a lot of potential for Keiser White. I don't think they're going to be turning around quite in this series just yet. But throughout the season, I think there'll be a story to be had for Keiser.
There definitely is. There's definitely some potential for a story, but we're going to have to see how this Hacienda control plays out for them, because at this moment, it's looking like we're going to get towards the end of this chapter here pretty soon here. But looking at it right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be heading into a break. We'll be back with our map 3 here shortly. Don't you go anywhere.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back. Map number 3, UCF versus Keiser White. And up 2-0 if you're just joining us. Control Hacienda. We've seen a bit of a trend being started. UCF looking pretty consistent here in both game modes. Both teams undefeated, but one looking to take the L here. Well, not looking, but will definitely be given an L here in this series. 2-0 up. UCF Knights looking pretty solid.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good indeed. I mean, that's why they're a ranked team, and Keiser White are currently not at this moment. I mean, while they have very similar records, it is a bit of an interesting one to see how a ranked team is quite literally having a field day in these maps.
Okay, never mind. We got a little restart, so we've got some time to fill. But talking about UCF Knights as a team, you know, we did talk about Keiser White beforehand that they can have the ability to pop off. If there's ever a time to do it, it would be now in the control. Looking at these teams, though, UCF Knights are much more aggressive and fast-paced team. We saw that in the Search and Destroy highlight pretty specifically, where they were always on the A site and they were always contesting the A site. But Keiser White a little bit slower to get the bomb down, not quite looking to be as aggressive and stop a lot of the plants and throw their lives at it. Coming to a game mode like Control, especially on a map like Hassie, you're going to need some of that aggression. You're going to need to have some of that adaptability that comes with a map like Hacienda. It's very big, it's wide ranged, it's a lot of plays you can make, there's a lot of movability on the map, but it's not going to be as easy as just going through and setting up a spawn trap. You've got to be able to adapt. If they're attacking both zones, if they're setting up a spawn trap themselves, if they're stacking a zone, you've got to know when to send your resources where, and you've got to know when to toss up what is more valuable and where you should be playing. I don't think Keiser White are going to have too much of a trouble trying to adapt. It's just whether they can execute it as well when the pressure and the pace is on from UCF Knights.
Yeah, that pressure and pace is definitely going to be something that we're going to really need to look into this one. I mean, we saw that ferocity. We saw how well that they were playing, especially on that hard point and Hacienda, how their levels of aggression, their ability to break down presets on the setups here for the side of Keiser White. I mean, we did have a bit of a break here. So if we are Keiser White here, we got to put ourselves in their minds right now. We've just been handed a pretty hot 6-1 on the Search and Destroy here on Vault. We know how well this UCF squad plays. Could there be potential for a bit of a regain in the mental, Narski?
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing, right? You've had a bit of time to reset. I think there's also a case to be made that maybe it's also just kind of dawning on them even more, right? It's a bit exhausting. Maybe you've just gone slam 2 maps and you're just kind of thinking, you know, it might be up. Obviously, you're not going to give up in the gameplay, but it's pretty hard to shake that kind of sinking back of the mind feeling. You've lost the hard point. One of the plays disconnected. You go back. You know, you're essentially losing a 3v4 there for a chunk of it, and then you go into the Vault Search and Destroy and you get slam 6-1. Now you go into a Hacienda Control again, and it's not looking as likely to see that map 4. I mean, the Big Mac's going to turn into a quarter pounder. It's just, it's not going to be as developed as you once thought the series was. That being said, it really is anything is possible, right? You can never count a team out, especially in Call of Duty. It's just one of those games where you have upsets all the time. You have teams that are doing super well that end up falling or crumbling at the last minute. And that's what we might see here. We're going to have to see how the first round plays out for Keiser White to see if they have a hope in the control. I wouldn't say that they're so outclassed that it's impossible, right? It's not like UCF are insane and Keiser White just have no idea what they're doing. They are a good team. Keiser White is a solid team. They definitely have the capability, but UCF right now are just playing super hot and just they're on the ball. That you can tell that they're feeling it. You can tell that there's that momentum, and you can tell that there's that flow state there that's driving them to press the attack on this series and make this a consistent 2-0. But without further ado, let's get into it. Map 3 Control on Hacienda. Keiser White down 2-0. Let's see how they go here on the break-off.
Let's see, and that's a nice break-off right there for the side of UCF. They get 4 down. Keiser White reset here. They're all spread it out right now, looking into the spawns, waiting for these players to capitalize. And it's going to be right there out towards the green. Nicely done. A little 1-for-1 trade, but it continues a back and forth.
Yeah, looking solid. Chris now coming on in. 3-0. Not quite the 4th. But so far, a very solid start, all things considered. I believe the names aren't switched around. So it is Keiser White that are down in this round. So 26-22, UCF Knights leading the charge here. No real progress at all being made from Keiser White. You can see Tag trying to get some of these kills through. Not quite going their way. 29 seconds on the clock to make something happen. But once again, UCF Knights just shutting everything down, making this an impossible task for the side of Keiser White and Physics. Jesus Christ, my guy. just pops a three-piece out of nowhere to end things off, and it might be the nail in the coffin. It's looking sad, man, for Keiser White. They're just no signs of life in this round, running one after another. They give up the three-piece to Vizix. You've got a player trying to stall here, getting on that B zone, giving them some time, but even if they're able to grab some sort of progress here, you can see that there's just no time to work with, no lives, and it is a clean one round up for UCF Knights.
That is, I mean, that's going to be a bit of a rough one. I mean, you look at that right there from the side of Keiser White. They have that break just to be able to breathe, get themselves back into the mode, you know, keep themselves engaged. But it just did not look like there was any sort of a breather when it came down to it. And so now you're in a bit of a predicament. Now you are definitely in a bit of a predicament where, hey, we just got absolutely beaten on that first round. It could be a GG's go next.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to chalk it up. I think that the disconnect on the 3v4 was really the moment that set the series off. I mean, it felt like they had an extra player, not missing one, but so far it's going to be UCF on the attack. Vizix opens things up. That's a 3 down. At least Value finds 2 amongst all that, but I mean, all things considered, you can see Tag spending a lot of resources here to try and contest this B zone. He gets dropped, and already a lot of pressure being gathered on this B zone side of the map. And a 5 streak as well for Vizix. He's 9-2. Player that disconnected now, coming back swinging, thinking that they're coming through spawn. Not quite getting the value that he was hoping for. Still, though, that B zone ticks away. That's 2 on the B. And Keiser White, no answer right now.
Nope, sadly, no answer indeed. And, well, they're going to be able to have a quick B pusher that really got them that one nicely done. Adnan's going to try and fly through. Will get taken down. Now we look at the opposite side, though. 5 and 6 already making their way over. Lux just not able to complete the kills. Not able to cash that check.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 1 kill differential, right? So Keiser White not completely down too much. But coming in, you can see the pressure that UCF applies around the map is so drastically different from Keiser White. They're clawing themselves away out of spawn, and UCF are just taking control. Finally, they get some kills back, though, so it opens things up. It alleviates some of that pressure. But, I mean, when you look at it as a whole, you've got a minute 20. You've only got to get 1 zone, and you can keep chipping away these lives and resources and make this a super, super difficult series of engagements that Keiser White won't be able to deal with.
No, they're not able to, and you will see right now, nicely done. They are currently 3 stacking here towards this A, but we're going to get that first hit going. Adnan's looking to get a kill, see some opportunity, and boy, they smell the heat. They know something's cooking in the kitchen. And right now, that's going to be a big slap right there. We'll be able to get those 2 kills, and right now it looks as though UCF aren't even hopping the hill, just worried about these kills.
Yeah, I mean, they don't care, right? If you can outslay him, outslay him. If you can get on the point, get on the point. I don't think they're too worried about ticks. I don't think they're worried about getting that round 5. It's not going to make it there. It's going to be a 3-0. Already 2 ticks on this A zone. They're looking to close this out. You got a player in the back, Lux, trying to make a nice route. Not quite going his way. Route man not getting paid today. And you can see, just, it's sad. It's kind of depressing, all things considered. No one getting any kills from the side of Keiser White. Vizix in their spawn on a 7 spree. Looking to try and make it 8 here shortly. Players coming out of spawn. He does get taken out. That's at least a saving grace, but it's a 6-tick attack. And UCF Knights shut him down here in round 2. Looking on the defense for a 3-0 in the control and series.
Yeah, that's a big one right there. Absolutely massive. You just come into this round, you not only show that you're very aggressive on the map, but you're very aggressive with the kills, like you mentioned earlier. You know, if you can outslay him, outslay him. And that's exactly what we see right here. Vizix 17 and 6, almost 2K damage. Just absolutely having his way. Just having his way in the back line.
And you can't let it happen. We've seen what this man can do when he gets going. And we're seeing it again. 17 and 6, 11 and 6 from Con. Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't like highlighting the bad players, but you know, we need to see something here from Keiser White. Adnan needs to get in the game a little bit. You know, we need some signs of life here. If you're not going to win the series, at least, you know, win something here. You know, make it a little bit of a struggle, make it a fight. And that's what they're going to try and do. Going up top now, going towards Rock, and maybe making a route throughout the back. Adnan might be a little bit of a nuisance here. They're trying to get on A, but there's so many places you can get shot from on the A zone. Chris is able to get a nice two-piece. And Keiser White, once again, stuck in a little bit of a trap.
They're stuck indeed. And I mean, right now, UCF are currently pushing through, just getting some kills here. 29-24 in terms of the life differential. And well, Adnan's going to hop over here. Nicely done. Just try to keep himself alive with this squad. But UCF, they're on the defense here. It's all, the ball is in their court at this moment.
It's a nice round from Adnan. Able to get behind two of them. Could alleviate some of that pressure in the spawn. Live's still a whole wave ahead. Vizic still needs to be dealt with. 22-7 for the man. 30 seconds left on the clock. Still getting aggressive. Does get taken out, though. Not healed up quite yet. Tag as well up top with the AR. They're trying to set up positioning. They're trying to get in. But Chris, with the sub, able to take off the heads of two. And that might be the nail in the coffin right there. 21 seconds left on the clock. So many players dropping. Con shooting the bodies. It's not going well for Keiser. They are trying to send everything up through the middle of the map. Chris still needs to be dealt with. Vizic's on a spree. It's just disgusting. Monty now getting on the action. That's a full streak for him. And that is all but over for Keiser White. A very anticlimactic end and a very dominant series from UCF. As much as they wanted to keep that undefeated streak, Keiser White unable to do so. And UCF with a swift way to end the day.
Very swift indeed. Quite literally done and dusted. I mean, goodness gracious. UCF really showing that, hey, we're a ranked team for a reason. Do not discount that we have the same schedule. We're the Kendrick Lamar. They are not like us. Period.
That is facts, man. It's really like UCF where not even paying attention to the end of that control. They were just running around shooting, chasing red dots. They did not care, man. And I got to say, rightfully so. They were slamming, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? If you're up, if you're going good, why switch it up? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just UCF finding flow state and looking pretty comfortable, pretty easy against this Keiser White squad. And you know, I don't think Keiser White were necessarily playing all that bad. I think UCF were just playing phenomenal, right? Like they were looking comfortable, they were looking solid. There was nothing that Keiser White was doing that I was like, oh, okay, you know, that's a bad play, or that's terrible, or that's bad, or wow, you know, the gunfights are so bad. It was just UCF just playing super well, just doing what they do best. They're showing that they're ranked high for a reason, and we saw it here. It translated into the game pretty well. 6-1 in the search, 3-0 in the control, 250, 187 in the hard point. A convincing lead in all three game modes.
I mean, that's just a classic masterclass right there. You only have that hard point that is somewhat contestable with just a little bit under 70-point differential right there for the side of Keiser White. But then 6-1 and the 3-0, I mean, they just put double the nails in the coffin and they send you home. They send you home here.
Yeah, and in a pretty brutal fashion that they do that. But 6-1, I mean, Keiser White, look, you lose the match, it is what it is. But 6-1 is not anything to you know, be ashamed of or not feel proud of. 6-1 is insane so far in the CCL regular season. It's only going to be a couple of teams that are going to be, you know, at UCF level. And you know, you came up against a Titan, you came on the wrong side of it. It just is what it is. There's not much you can do. But apart from that, that's going to be it for the day, and also us, Susano. It's been an absolute pleasure casting with you. It's been a pleasure casting today. UCF Knights keeping their undefeated record here, but that'll be it from us. We'll see you guys on the next one, and hope to see you guys with some more CCL action soon. Thanks, guys.